everyone, welcome back. I'm Melissa Pineda, and today I am joined by a very special guest, my daughter Vera.
Hi.
And we will be discussing one of her very favorite books, if not her very favorite book.
It's my favorite.
Okay, and which book are we discussing today?
Today we are discussing Little Woman.
Little Women by
Louisa May Alcott.
Now, before we get into it, if there's anything that you hear that you like or find interesting, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the setting and the main characters?
Okay, so the setting is somewhere in the United States when the Civil War was nearly over, and they're four girls. They start off pretty young but get older, so it's easy to relate to because it's for kids and it's for adults. And then Meg is the oldest one. So it's Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. And they're four sisters. And it's really cool because throughout the book they grow up and they have they form their characters and you can see all of their sufferings and all their joys and all of their stuff that happens in their life. So it's like you're just watching them grow up and it's really cool.
Yeah, and it's a real coming of age story where these girls start off young and you kind of see them grow, just like Vera said, until they get married, until they progress into basically becoming adults. So it's really interesting and it's different for both of us, of course. For Vera to read the book and relate to characters, and for me, of course, I can relate more to the mom, or at least to the older version of the girls and their experiences with marriage and having kids. So it was really neat to see that progression. And okay, so now where are the parents in this? You mentioned the four girls.
So the father is in the Civil War. He's not fighting, but he's a pastor, and he's preaching about God. And while the mom is, I think she's working. She's working and she's helping the poor and aiding the sick.
So can you tell us maybe what character you can relate most to, or maybe some stories that you could relate to? Or
someone who I can relate to is probably Jo, because sometimes, she at the start of the book, she had a really terrible temper, and it was really hard to forgive people, and which I can relate to. And she got really upset with people, and it was really hard to control her anger. Like, for example, once her sister Amy, the youngest, got really upset with her, and then she threw out a book that Jo was writing. So then Jo didn't forgive her, and she got super duper upset. And sometimes it's hard to forgive people when you get upset. So that's what I can relate to of Jo.
A lot of good lessons and morals in this book. These girls, growing up in the 1800s as Christians, behaved a lot differently than a lot of young people today, in my opinion, to see how they spoke to their parents, to see how they treated one another. It was just a really beautiful read, beautiful in terms of virtues and morals. Okay, why don't you tell us what your favorite part of the book is?
I don't really have a favorite part because the whole book is so good.
All right, okay, how about at least, did you think of something?
Except for, since I'm a kid and the start of the book is more interesting than the end of the book, because the end of the book is more like growing up, like old though. Like when you marry and stuff.
Yes, okay.
When they're a kid, they made trouble and you could kind of feel for them more.
So you found the start of the book when they were young more relatable. You could relate to the characters more.
And it was entertaining when the last part of the book was a bit boring.
Okay. Adulthood can be a little bit boring sometimes, so I understand that. You have a least favorite part?
Yes, my least favorite part is when Beth gets sick and after she recovers it isn't fair because I feel like she suffered so much even though she didn't deserve it, and she truly was an example of Christ. And she never complained, and even when she was without the scarlet fever, she knew she was going to die, but she never wanted to bother anyone. So I just feel like that's probably my least favorite part of the book because I'm upset because it isn't fair for her.
You were upset how you didn't really know too much about Beth. Like, she's a very unknown character.
She's really shy. She's a bit scared of people. at the start of the book, and she loves playing piano, and she's really pretty and nice and energetic until she gets a fever. But she never complains, and she never has really any sorrows except for when she's about to die.
And what's the interesting thing that we learned about Beth?
The character of Beth was inspired by Louisa May Alcott's sister, the author of the book,
Whose name was what?
whose name was Lizzie, which is probably Elizabeth. And the name Beth comes from Elizabeth. So her sister died because she got a fever. It doesn't say which fever, but when somebody dies, it would make you really sad to say something bad about them.
It was a really sad part of the book, absolutely. And this was something that was prominent at the time too, the scarlet fever. So it was just an epic timepiece. The story, the way it was written, the way it unfolded, you really felt like you knew these characters, right? You could relate to them, and it was beautifully written. She was an absolutely beautiful author. Something I really related to, but as the girls got older, and one point, Meg had twins, and so the mother offered her advice because Meg said, "Oh, I'm so tired all the time, and I'm exhausted taking care of the kids," and her mom told her, "Well, like, of course you are. You should let your husband help." And I think all moms can relate to this in terms of that being very difficult sometimes because you take on so much as a mom and it's hard asking for help sometimes. And so that was just one of the anecdotes that the mom, very wise mom in this, passed on to her daughter.
A funny part of the book is when Joe and Meg are getting ready for this fancy party. When Joe is curling her sister's hair, she accidentally, she puts paper around her sister's hair because maybe that's the way you can do your hair. It used to be in the olden days. When she took the papers out, Meg's hair came out with the papers.
She burned her sister's hair right off.
So she burned her sister's hair right off. So that's a really funny part of the book.
It was funny.
One of the themes in the book is that they're poor because their dad went off to war instead of making money for the family and working. And before they used to be a bit more higher class because they had more money and
they're an upper middle class society, and now they're in times of kind of duress. They're struggling financially and trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to keep up with other people, except they're struggling too.
Kind of know they're poor, but they're trying to hide it. And Amy, sometimes she painted her stuff blue or purple to make it look like it was velvet because velvet was very expensive. But because they tried to just fit in with everybody because they didn't have the nice clothes or the nice food and stuff like that. And I just really, really love this book. I hope that if you see this book review, you'll read it because it'll be worth it.
What's really interesting about this book too is that Louisa May Alcott is able to talk about very adult themes, very important themes that she somehow in her writing is able to convey to kids and adults in a way that us adults don't have to worry about these very adult themes being spoken to or conveyed to children in an inappropriate way. Vera was able to read about courting, about dating, about marriage, about kids, very adult themes, with it being very appropriate for an 11-year-old. And thank you so much for listening. If there's anything that you've heard today that you've liked or found interesting, please like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hope you read it.